Lately, it feels like every year I look back on the football season I was just blessed with and think, wow, that was the weirdest season I've ever seen, only for it to be topped the very next season. Looking back at this season, I am shocked by the sheer amount of insanity that happened. So that's why I've decided to recap some of the weird, ridiculous, and downright wacky things that happened this season. Absolutely no lead is safe in football, a lesson teams have to be taught season after season. Whether you're up with 13 seconds on the clock or you slowly amass a 32-point lead over the course of a game, there's always a chance, that marginally likely scenario. Sometimes it feels like having a big lead makes you less likely to win the game. Georgia Tech once beat Cumberland 222 points to none in a game that was cut 5 minutes short. But if they played those 5 minutes, Cumberland probably would have made a comeback and won. Once again, no lead is safe, and the 2022 season drilled in this point. It all started in week 2, with the Ravens swiftly blowing a 21-point lead versus the Miami Dolphins, eventually losing in overtime. At the exact same time, the New York Jets and Cleveland Browns faced off in a game that seemed to be pretty much over. A 13-point game with 2 minutes left, until Joe Flacco decided to go back to 2012 form and throw a 66-yard dime to Corey Davis to cut the lead to 6. After scoring a touchdown, the scoring team usually hands the ball over to the other team. The only way to keep the ball is something called an onside kick, where you sort of soccer kick the ball 10 yards and try to jump on it. It's usually reserved for desperate situations. If the Jets fail the onside, Cleveland simply runs down the clock and sneaks away with the game. But if they succeed, they get one chance to score.
In that game, last gasp here. If the Browns recover this, it's live. Ball is live. The Jets, did the Jets get it? Did the Jets get it?
Flacco over the middle, it's caught. Touchdown, Garrett Wilson. The Jets trying to pull a miracle comeback.
Blown leads continued to be a recurring theme during the season, but it arguably peaked in Week 15 when the Minnesota Vikings faced off against the Indianapolis Colts. But first, we need to rewind a little. Super Bowl 51 had the Matt Ryan-led Atlanta Falcons blow a 25-point lead to lose in overtime. Matt Ryan was traded to the Colts at the beginning of the 2022 season, and for the first half of this game, he helped the Colts jump out to a 33-0 lead. But like I said, absolutely no lead is safe. An arguably even worse choke happened in the wildcard round of the playoffs when the Jaguars, who probably shouldn't even be here but somehow managed to win their division even though the Titans were practically guaranteed to win, managed to come back from a 27-0 deficit to beat the Los Angeles Chargers, despite Trevor Lawrence throwing 4 first-half interceptions. Not one lead is safe. Not one. Chaos in football is often drawn out over a long period of time, but sometimes a single play can leave you dumbfounded. It's week 10 and the Minnesota Vikings are facing off against the Buffalo Bills in what has been a thriller. The Vikings are trailing but have the ball in the Bills' red zone. But after a failed quarterback sneak by Kirk Cousins, the Vikings turned the ball over on downs at the 1-yard line with 49 seconds left. It looked like the game was just about over until the Bills fumbled the snap and Vikings linebacker Eric Kendricks recovered the ball for a touchdown. The Vikings ended up winning in overtime. Rewinding to week 9, the Chargers and Falcons, two known chokers from earlier in this video, duked it out in a close matchup. With 46 seconds left on the Falcons' 20-yard line, the Chargers hand the ball off to their running back, who fumbles the ball, allowing a Falcons defensive player to scoop it up and start running, before he also fumbles and it's recovered by the Chargers, who kick a game-winning field goal. All of these plays pale in comparison to the catastrophe that occurred in week 15. Patriots versus Raiders. The game is tied with almost no time remaining. Usually in this situation you would just play for overtime or throw a Hail Mary, but this offense is run by Matt Patricia and we can't have nice things. So they hand the ball off to Ramondre Stevenson. Off he runs before he decides his duty has been complete and chucks the ball over to Jacoby Myers. He doesn't really have anywhere to go, so he should probably just go down at this point, but instead he just yeets the ball over to the middle of nowhere, where it is promptly intercepted by a Raiders defender who runs it in for a touchdown. And to add insult to injury, he absolutely stuffs Mac Jones on the way there. Truly one of the plays of all time. Being the first overall pick in the draft is one of the greatest honors one can achieve in their football career. It's the team with the first pick's way of saying that out of all the talent in your draft class, they want you. The polar opposite of this is the last overall pick. the least desirable of your draft class. Mr. Irrelevant, a nickname the NFL itself somewhat recognizes. Most Mr. Irrelevants achieve minimal to no success in the NFL until...
With the 262nd pick in the 2022 NFL Draft, the San Francisco 49ers select Brock Purdy, a quarterback from Iowa State.
Brock Purdy joined the 49ers with low expectations, but earned his first NFL start in Week 14 after injuries from both Trey Lance and Jimmy Garoppolo. He put up a solid performance defeating the Buccaneers, thus making him the first rookie to defeat Tom Brady in his first career start. Later down the road, he became the first Mr. Irrelevant to complete a forward pass, as well as the first to throw and rush for a touchdown, eventually leading the 49ers to a conference championship and maybe a Super Bowl? I don't know, it hasn't happened yet as I'm writing this. I'm not sure why I'm making a season recap before the season has actually ended, but it's whatever. The Houston Texans began one of the worst seasons in NFL history. It seemed like the number one pick was firmly in their grasp until the Chicago Bears somehow managed to snipe it from them. The NFC South Division was a single game away from being a complete four-way tie. Some guy used a coin flick to predict the entire New York Jets season, and it was perfect all the way up until week 12 and onwards when it was suddenly garbage. Whatever this was happened. Some dude almost died on the field. And finally, Nathan Peterman cemented his legacy as the best quarterback in the league with this impeccable spike. Just watch how it beautifully hits the ground. It's just mwah.